Level 1. The doormat. This is the person who hasn't figured out what they're actually worth. He has the talent, he has the capability, but somewhere along the way he lost the nerve to speak up for himself. Watch enough movies and you'll notice this pattern with character actors, the ones who steal a scene completely and still walk away with a fraction of what the lead earns. Talent alone was never enough. Someone has to know how to present that talent, or the world will price it however it wants. In anime, Armin fits this level perfectly. He's often the sharpest mind in the room, yet he shrinks himself down again and again. When you don't know your own value, other people set the price for you. Level 2. The puppets. This is the person whose life is being steered by someone else's hand. He knows what he wants, deep down, but he keeps choosing what everyone around him wants instead. Neil Perry from Dead Poets Society only wanted to act. Instead, he stayed locked onto the path his father had already chosen for him, because the choice was never really his to begin with. Jesse Pinkman lived a version of the same story. Everyone around him kept deciding who he was, and he never got the chance to build that identity on his own. At this level, the question, "Who am I?" goes unanswered long enough that other people answer it for you. Level 3. The weapon. This is where the balance finally shifts in someone's favor. Ego here works less like an explosion and more like fuel feeding an engine. Levi Ackerman, arguably humanity's most dangerous soldier. James Bond, the most capable agent in his world. Harvey Specter, the closer every rival in New York fears. All three share something in common. They're the best at the game they're playing, but the game itself still belongs to someone else. They deliver. People trust them completely, and yet they're still operating inside a system somebody else built. That's the strength of this level, and quietly its trap too, because staying here feels safe, and safety has a way of convincing people that ambition beyond it isn't worth the risk. Level 4. The Blind King. There's really only one thing separating this level from the last one, and it's control. The ability hasn't changed. What's changed is who's driving. Walter White shows this shift clearly. A brilliant chemist who slowly convinced himself he was untouchable. By the end, his family was gone, and so was everything he'd built. Jordan Belfort followed a similar arc a decade earlier. Massive ability paired with almost no self-restraint tends to end the same way, regardless of the era or the industry. At this stage, a person still mostly destroys himself. Level 5. The monster. Here, ego usually starts somewhere painful, being overlooked, being hurt, carrying something unresolved. And instead of dealing with that wound, a person learns to hide it behind power. Vegeta and Homelander both carry this same buried history, a kid underneath who never got to heal. The difference is neither of them processed that pain. They turned it into armor instead. So when someone challenges who they are, there's no real response, only destruction. Unlike the level before it, the damage here doesn't stay contained to one person. It spreads to whoever happens to be standing nearby. Level 6. The demigod. This might be the rarest form ego takes, and arguably the healthiest. It doesn't come from trauma or from proving anyone wrong. It comes from belief that was actually earned over time. Michael Jordan, Tom Brady, Goku, each of them shares a quiet certainty in their own ability, but that certainty stays pointed at the craft itself rather than at other people. They want to improve. They want to break their own records. And in doing so, they end up writing the rules of their own game instead of following someone else's. On the outside, there's humility. On the inside, there's total conviction. People at the previous level are feared. People at this level tend to inspire the people around them instead. Level 7. The God Complex. At the level before this one, there's still a hunger to get better. Here, that hunger disappears entirely, and only the ego remains. A person reaches a point where they believe they've become incapable of error. Kanye West, Light Yagami, Eren Yeager, each convinced, in their own way, that they simply couldn't be wrong. Light believed he was delivering justice. Eren believed he was delivering freedom. Both ended up lost inside a world they'd built entirely around their own certainty. The moment someone becomes convinced mistakes are no longer possible, the fall has usually already begun.